Hey y'all, what's going on? It's your girl Brittany Nichelle and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Listen, me and YouTube have had a long-standing on and off again relationship, but I think this time we locked in, we good to go. So welcome back to my YouTube channel again, okay? As you guys have already read about in the title, I suffer from depression, and I was really in the depths of depression in 2023. I think I had it a little longer than that, but I think I was really in the thick of it in 2023. Now, I went through a whole transformation within that time. I'm still in the throes of that transformation, but I wanted to come on and chat with you guys about what I experienced when I was depressed, what the transformation looked like for me. I don't want this video to be too long because the shit was deep. It was deep. It could get real deep. You know what I'm saying? But we're not gonna do all that today. Today we're just gonna talk about some of the things that I experienced, kind of my mindset on how I got to that point, and then kind of the things I did to get me out of that point and where I am now. I feel like this might be a lot to cover, but I'm gonna try to get it down to maybe about 20 minutes, just so you guys can like grab some nuggets out of this and hopefully it helps somebody. Now, first thing I wanna say is if you hear my little critters in the background, usually I would lock them up, but I'm like, you know what? I left earlier today and my one dog, my older dog, he likes to roam the house, so I let him roam the house. My smaller dog, okay? Whew, she added to the journey, okay? She added to the journey. She has to get locked up all the time. But I don't want to lock her up right now because I'm in the house and I believe in a cage-free environment. As you guys can see, Tab is in the background. Hey girl, that was perfect timing. Thanks, sis. All right, well, enough of that. Let's get into the video. All right, got my glass of wine. It's so cute, it has my name on it. It was a gift. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's see. It was a gift when I moved into my apartment, but anyway, let's get into the video. Also, really quickly, before we do, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with a friend who you feel like it may help, especially if you're looking for more content about self-help, about just talking about life and the things that we are going through, the uncomfortable conversations. If you're looking for that in your YouTube content, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, okay? Now, let's get into it. Yeah, 2023 turned me every which way but loose. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Whew, okay. Yeah, it was a year for me. It was a year for me. I had a really, really hard time. Now, I feel like I had been suffering from depression for a long time. I grew up in a very traumatic, I grew up in a very traumatic household when I was a child. I have a mother who's a narcissist, if you know anything about that, okay? And she also has bipolar disorder. I have a father who is not accountable, okay? He is a pretty boy that cares about him and only him, okay? He's trying to do better. We had a conversation, so you know, I'm gonna give it up to you, Pops. But if I'm trying to bring realness to this community here, we're gonna get into the things, okay? So if you've had a narcissistic mom, you know the trauma that comes with that. Bipolar disorder, you know the trauma that comes with that. A dad who cannot, or a man in general, who cannot be accountable, you know what comes with that. Okay, so I feel like I have been suffering from PTSD for a very, very long time. I feel like I was a functioning depressant for a long time. I felt like I kept myself busy with a lot of things to avoid the fact that I was depressed. I also didn't have the vocabulary to say, oh, this is what's going on with me. It took me a long time to come to grips with the fact that I was depressed as well because, you know, there's all these stigmas about being black and being a black woman and having depression. And then also, if you look around or if you look on my Instagram, you know, it looks like I got my together, all right? It looks like I got my together. And I feel guilty for that. I feel guilty for having my together. And then I started to self-sabotage myself, which was interesting, but I realized it was because I was depressed. So I wrote a couple notes here. I do want this to be just a genuine conversation, but when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about, well, I knew I wanted to talk about this because what I'm trying to do here with this community, now that I understand what I'm supposed to be doing with this community, I want to start from the basics. I feel like a lot of people get online and they only want to portray the good shit, right? They want to talk about where they are now, but not where they came from. And I want to start from where I came from so you guys understand why I live my life the way I do now, okay? So, back to the depression. Ciao. Okay. Now, I thought I was in a motherfucking storm. Turns out it was a season. It was a season, baby. A storm, you know, you can weather the storm. It's short term. It ain't gonna be here for a long time. No, a season was had, okay? I feel like I really started to feel like the depths of depression about 2 years ago, but I feel like 2023 was really when it hit. And it may have been COVID because again, a lot of people struggle with depression during COVID, being by yourself, dynamics changing because you can't be in someone's company all the time. Yeah, it was really hard for everybody, but I feel like about 2 years ago was really when it started to set in for me. After my 30th birthday, that was a high. I feel like I had such a great time. I had accomplished this goal that I wanted to like travel and take my mom on this like all-inclusive paid vacation for my 30th birthday. I did that, and then I got home and I'm like, now what? Now what? I feel like I had gotten to a point in my life where I was very comfortable where I was. It was a vision. My life was a vision that I had for myself since I was a child. But then I got there and I'm like, oh, now what? Now what? And I realized I was having an issue in the pivot. I was struggling in the pivot. What does that mean? Sometimes you have these ideas set up for your life, right? Especially for me. I feel like another issue that I was struggling with was the fact that because I did come from such a traumatic ass childhood, I kind of like set up this plan for myself. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this so I can get to this point. And I did all that. You know, I bought the bill of goods. And then I realized I don't like this. This is not for me. This is what everyone else told me to do, or this is what I thought I had to do based off societal standards to get from this to here. But then once you're here, now what? And I'm only 30 years old at this time, okay? Like, you're supposed to have the house and the kids, and maybe that was the next step. So I'm like, that's not what I want for me. So then I had to start kind of stripping myself away, stripping all these ideas away of what people had of me or societal ideas of what success looks like. And then that's when I feel like the depression really set in, because I really started to question my identity, my belief system, those around me, and what I really wanted and what happiness actually looks like to me. And when you start to face the music, it starts to come to the surface. You realize, all that is fake. All this is fake, baby. You gotta do you, boo. You gotta do you, okay? And that is where the depression set in for me. Now, when I say a hard time in the pivot, let's get back to the pivot. You have this idea of what you're supposed to do with your life, right? You do all the things, you get the accomplishments, you have the accolades, and you realize you're not happy. But what else am I supposed to do? Because they told me this is what success looks like. They told me once I get here, I would feel fulfilled. Yeah. And then once you start to strip away the ideas of that others have set up for you, and you have to pivot to do what makes you happy, people start switching up. People start switching up. What you thought you knew, the boundaries that you set up, the way you start to see yourself, people switch the fuck up. And that was really hard for me to deal with. I started losing friends. My family thought I was crazy. People said I was irrational. But really, now that I'm out of the spin cycle, I'm so happy that I went through this journey, because the people that are around me right now, one, I know they're my lifelong people. Two, I know that they have my best interests at heart. Three, they see me, they know me, they understand me, they love me. Four, they respect the out of me. They respect me. And that's what I appreciate. They respect my mind. They respect my thought process. They respect my boundaries. They respect the way that I show up for myself. They know how I'm gonna show up for them. So I appreciate this journey. But let me try to stay on track here, y'all, because get real deep and I don't want to make this too long. So I wrote, again, a couple of notes for myself, just so I can stay on task and not get, you know, all chatty about the minuscule things. All right, so the more I pushed against the thought of me being depressed, the more depressed I became. The more that I pushed against the thought of me being depressed, the more depressed that I became. I did not want to believe that I was depressed. I'm like, you have all these things, you have friends, you live in the city, you have this nice car, you have all these things. Why aren't you happy? Why aren't you happy? Oh my God, y'all, I went to a winery last year with my brother. And we had such an amazing time. And I dropped everybody off and I got in my car. And I cried all the way home, and I cried when I got home. And I was going through, I'm like, why are you so fucking sad? You literally just spent the whole day at the winery. You had an amazing day. You got to host your friends and drive them home. Why are you so sad? Like, I just could not understand it. So rather than saying or thinking, or not thinking, rather than coming to terms with the fact that I was depressed, I find myself doing avoidant activities, meaning I was drinking, I was going out, I was finding reasons to pop up at everybody's house, okay? I didn't want to be in my own house. I was smoking all the time. I was sexing. I was doing all the things. Ain't nothing wrong with smoking and sexing and drinking, okay? I'm about that life. But it was becoming excessive. It was becoming excessive because I'd rather do that than handle the issues that I'm having over here. I'd rather do that than have the hard conversations. I'd rather do that than to shake a little rattle the cage, shake the table just a little bit. I'd rather do that than handle my shit and realize that the relationships that I have right now have to go. And when you start to do the work, you know, hold on one second. Rio, homeboy, get out. Thank you. Anyway, I started drinking more, smoking more, sexing more, just doing the most when really I was doing nothing at all, but making the problems worse. And I kept getting warning signs from the universe. Like, I got a diagnosis from the doctor that my liver enzymes were high. Slow down on the drinking, sis, okay? I just started getting these different signals from the universe that I was not paying attention to, until they, when I say they, I'm gonna say the universe, put me in a position where I had no choice but to sit the fuck down and handle my shit. When I say I was up, pockets was swollen, baby. I had an Airbnb. I was doing all the things. I was making money in my sleep, doing all the things, and all of that stopped. It literally stopped. It literally stopped because the universe was like, you can't level up. You can't take it to the next level unless you handle your shit right here. And when I got to the position that I was forced to sit down, I don't know if you have ever been so broke. You have ever been so broke that you ain't got nothing to do but be in the house? You start finding all kind of things to do, okay? House is spotless. You going through bills. You're just looking at all this shit that you never paid attention to because you gotta sit the fuck down. You ain't got nothing else to do, y'all. So I'm starting to just look through the mail and do this and do that. And I'm like, oh shit, I got things I need to pay. Or, oh shit, I got conversations that need to be had. Or, oh shit, like I got friends that really not my friends. I had to sit down with myself. I literally had no choice. And it got to a point I couldn't get out of the bed. I gained 20 pounds, okay? I was just eating terribly. I love working out. I coach Pilates. I'm trying to get my spin certification. I'm a Zumba instructor. Like, I love doing the things, but I could not show up for myself. I couldn't show up for my friends. I couldn't show up for my community that I had built within the fitness world. I just couldn't do it. I could not do it because the reality that I've allowed certain energies in my spaces, or the reality that what I thought success looked like wasn't really what it looks like for me, it hit me like a ton of bricks. It hit me like a ton of fucking bricks. And growing up in a traumatic childhood environment, growing up with a mother whose favorite line was, take your ass in that bathroom, wipe your tears, and come back out when you finished. Or children should be seen and not heard. Or what happens in this house stays in this house. I never spoke up when I was sad. I never cried in front of anybody. I would go in the bathroom, wipe my tears, come back out with a smile on my face like nothing ever happened. I never asked for help. I had a conversation with my dad once I started getting to the root of issues, and I told my dad, I was like, listen, we need to have a conversation. You know, me and my dad, we've never had like a father-daughter relationship. It was more like we were friends, but I would like that, you know, especially as a woman that's actively dating and looking for a potential husband. It would be nice to be able to have a conversation with my dad, and him not call me bougie, or him to give me like a dad perspective, you know? And I had this conversation with him, and I'm like, Dad, like, you know, there were some things that happened to me, and I'm sure I'll get into them at another time, but specifically there was an incident where my dad's, I guess he calls him his business partner, tried to me. And my dad still decided to work with this man. No rage. He didn't go and beat his ass. I don't know what a father's supposed to do in a moment like that, but he didn't stick up for me at all. And he's still working with this guy to this day. And it's something that, you know, I've kind of just accepted the fact that my parents are just never going to be parents in that way. But I've realized it still affected me. It still triggered me. And I told my dad this, and I was like, Dad, you know, where was the rage? Why didn't you stick up for me? Why, you know, why are you still working with this guy? Why did you let him around my other sisters? Rio, stop. Go sit down now. Thank you. Why did you let him around my other sisters? My dad told me, well, you've been an adult since you were a child. So I felt like I didn't need to stick up for you in that way because you know how to handle yourself in certain situations. What? 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 What the? Okay. So saying all that to say that I've had to be the strong one for a really, really, really long time. I've had to be the strong one for a really long time. You know, I've had to put on the face. I've had to do all the things for a long time. And I never felt like there was a safe space for me to be vulnerable. There was never a safe space for me to cry. There was never a safe space for me to say, I need help. I need help. And last year taught me to say, I need help. I don't know how I'm gonna get through this by myself. I need help even showing up for me personally right now. And I need help in the pivot. I need help with saying that there is more than one way to live life, and that's okay. I need help with, I just need help. It's okay to not live your life by this linear trajectory, and it's okay to not have all the things that people say make you look successful, because more than likely that It is not built on a solid foundation anyway. Okay, if you really want to get into it. So I appreciate the year that I had because it allowed me to get to a solid foundation. So a few things that helped me battle this depression. One, I had to create a new routine for myself. I realized the things that used to work for me were no longer serving me. They didn't work for me anymore. I needed a new morning routine. I needed a new skincare routine. I needed a new hair routine. I mean, stuff just as simple as that. It's doing the same thing over and over again was not giving me the results that I used to get. So I'm like, oh, my body's changing. My mind is changing. My idea and how I see the world is changing. Like, I had to do a complete overhaul and create some new routines for myself. Two, sitting with myself. Every time I felt triggered, rather than reacting, because I'm a very reactive person, I decided to sit with myself every time I felt triggered. Or even if it was in the midst of a conversation with someone and I felt triggered, I would say, hey, give me a minute, I need to process that. Learning to say, give me a minute, let me process that, rather than just being reactive. It changed my perspective so much on a lot of things because I realized like, oh, this person isn't offending you. You're actually triggered because of this issue. Three, meditating. Meditating, and just asking the universe to send me downloads, to send me signs that I'm on the right track, to put whatever fears I was having and releasing them from my energy and just putting them out in the universe. Asking the universe that what is happening for me is aligning me with my divine purpose. So meditating helped me tremendously. Journaling. I have a gratitude journal and I'm gonna make another video about my gratitude journal because it's something that I used to do when I first started practicing Buddhism. I'm a Buddhist as well, guys. So I started practicing Buddhism about 10 years ago, actually. But I had this gratitude journal. And what I love about the gratitude journal is it's a great way for you to think about the small wins that you have every day. And you start to realize that, wait a minute, the things that I'm asking for are in my life. They are being afforded to, or they are being provided for me. Let me say that. They are being provided for me. But I feel like things aren't happening in a certain way because I expect for it to show up in a certain package. And realizing that sometimes the blessings that you ask for don't come in the package that you want them to, but there's still the blessing that you asked for. So be aware of that. So the gratitude journal definitely helped me. A manifestation journal, that helped me as well. Manifesting and writing down what I see for myself and then comparing it to the daily wins that I'm having in my life helped me tremendously. Leaning into my friends and saying, I need help. I'm not myself. I can't show up for me in the way that I normally show up for me. And guess what? My friend showed up for me in the way I show up for me when I couldn't show up for me. And the way that I love them, they reciprocated that back to me. Cutting people off, the people that had the audacity, okay? The people who could not be accountable, the people who rushed my process. I did a deep dive into my relationships and I had to be okay with letting people go. Being okay with not being okay. That was another one that helped me. Being okay with being in the valley so you can appreciate the peak. That really helped me. Making sure that I find ways to win every day in every aspect of my life. So how am I winning in my community that I've built through fitness, or in my building, or through Rover, or different things? How am I supporting my communities? How am I showing up in my communities every day? How am I showing up for myself every day? Whether it's just taking a walk, just keeping my body in motion every day, despite what I'm doing. How can I win spiritually? Sitting down and meditating and journaling and praying and studying. Finding ways to win every day helped me through my depression as well. And saying I am depressed and sharing my experience with other people and realizing that I'm also not alone. We're all trying to figure this out together. that also helped me through my depression. So right now I'm in a space where I am happy. I am in an impenetrable, is that even a word? Bubble. I think it is. I think I said it right. But I'm in this bubble where I am not gonna like stress about things that I can't fix. I'm gonna do the best that I can. I'm gonna show up. I'm not gonna worry about being perfect. Also trusting that what I have to offer is enough. I don't have to be perfect. My presence is enough. Me sharing my experience with you, even if it's not perfect or it's not like drawn out in this specific way, I'm good. I'm good, and I'm gonna live in that, and I want to be in a space where I'm good and I feel good and I look good, and I'm gonna appreciate what I have right now, appreciate the small wins, and then work my way on up. But thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this content helpful, if you found some golden nuggets in here, let me know. If you're looking for something a little bit more detailed, a little bit more structured, let me know. If you don't like the conversation type of flow, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be answering any questions that you guys have. Let's create a community. There's a lot of people that are suffering in silence, and we don't have to do that. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not allowing that in my space anymore. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend if you can. I'll see you in the next video.